So, welcome to the Kim Sunshine Show.
Thank you for having me.
We have an awesome guest today, and it's Keith Evans. Yay! I wish we
thank
had it. Wait, I have a applause that's over there.
Oh.
Sorry. So, I got to see Keith after at the end of that bike run. So, tell me, it was for Angel Flight. And we're gonna learn all about Angel Flight today. But tell me specifically about what happened this weekend. So there were a lot of people supporting exactly what you're doing.
Right. The patient that I brought this weekend, he was a patient that was born with a birth defect due to Agent Orange.
Yes, and if you, we'll post the picture up. But he had a huge goiter on the side of his neck. I'm not sure what they called it, but
Right. When he was born, his mother looked at him and walked away and didn't want him.
and rejected him. Wow.
So he ended up being quite a good friend, and I flew him for the first time. He went through 400 operations, and I got the last 146 operations. I was able to fly him. But let me tell you a little bit about Angel Flight first, so that way you'll understand. Angel Flight is composed of what's called the Air Charity Network. Okay?
Air Charity Network. Okay.
Right, and that's around the whole United States. We have 7,500 pilots. We fly people for free that have medical needs, babies. It doesn't really matter. Anybody that can't afford to get good care, we'll find it for them, even if they don't have it. We'll find trial programs, and we'll
Wow.
get them in it. And we've been doing this for about 40 years now.
Wow.
The lady that started Angel Flight started it by seeing everybody buying airplanes and going and flying around, and they called it the $50 to $100 hamburger. People would just love to fly, and they were going out just wasting fuel.
And to have a hamburger, right?
Right. So she decided to start this organization, and she's not around anymore. She passed away. Actually, she became a patient.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that we used to fly, and then she passed away, and the story just keeps going on and on and on and kept building. And so Angel Flight joined this Air Charity Network, which was good for 21,000 flights last year.
Wow, 21,000 flights. So that means that Angel Flight, that pilots donated their fuel and their time and their plane
Correct.
to do these flights for charity. What an amazing thing. So tell us more about the flights.
The flights, well, basically, we have to cover the airplane costs, the fuel costs, everything, take off from work. And we're usually gone for 5 hours that day. Because the way it's set up is we fly 2 hours, drop them off to another pilot, and fly 2 hours because we have to have time to get home.
Everyone does a little chain. Oh my
Right, so
gosh,
we
it's
do
like
a
the
chain.
buckets when there's a fire.
Right.
Like we would see in the old time movies before they had the hoses, that everybody would pass the bucket along
That's correct.
to get the job done.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
team together, each achieves more. Beautiful.
Yes, and that's how we've grown so much that 21,000 flights is a lot of flights.
That's a lot.
And if you think about every dollar that we raise, the dollar that we raise is to vet people out to make sure they really have a need and a medical condition because of the amount of money that each pilot pays.
Right.
My plane was
Right.
45 gallons an hour.
Wow. Wow.
So I had to absorb that, which if you think about it, that was 180 gallons that day
Right. Wow.
of fuel alone. Then I would have to take off from work and I'd fly the patient. Loved it.
So my question is, what kind of fuel do you put in a plane? Like, it's not the same stuff you get at a gas station, is it?
It's called 100 low lead.
100 low lead.
And it's has an antifreeze in it because if you go up, the higher you go, the colder it gets.
Right. Right.
So basically, we try to fly around 12,000 feet,
Okay.
or below. But if we have to go above 12,000 feet, we have to provide oxygen for the patients.
So I've done skydiving, and I did that at 10,000 feet.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
But I didn't have any questions about the fuel at that time. But now, with the price of gas changing so much, does Angel Flight experience that as well with the fuel for airplanes?
Yes, but counties like Flagler County will give us the fuel at a discount. We're getting more and more counties that when we do land, even though
beautiful.
we have to pay for it, they're giving us a discount on the fuel.
Beautiful.
And the stories that we can tell are just unbelievable as far as first I want to start with one other story from two twins from
Okay.
Palm Coast.
Okay. From Palm Coast. Okay.
I received a phone call that they were going up for open heart surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And when I flew them up there at the time, I didn't have a plane that was was large enough to fly the whole family.
Okay.
And it used to break my heart to leave the grandparents, the mother, the father, and all that behind.
Sure.
So I started searching to buy a bigger aircraft, and I'm just like, God, if you want me to have a bigger aircraft, I will. So the first aircraft I looked at, the advertising was so bad and the picture was so bad, I didn't go look at it. So I searched for a year. 1 year. Every time I would find one, by the time I got to the plane, it was
Right.
gone.
Right.
So before I gave up, I decided to go look at this plane in Kissimmee.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the old God give me a sign thing, everybody does
Was
that.
this the same plane that you that you passed by because the picture wasn't good enough the year before?
That's correct.
That's how God works.
So
It's amazing.
I'm in the airplane, my small plane, and I'm flying there, and I'm going, God, I am tired.
Mm-hmm.
If this is the plane you want me to have, you got to give me, you got to tell me something here. And I got out of the plane and walked into the hangar. And my name is Keith Evans, and the tail number was 123KE.
Well.
I broke down crying. It was actually the most beautiful airplane I've ever seen or had. It was a 6-seater aircraft. It was a Piper Navajo,
Mm-hmm.
and had everything that you could possibly want in it: TVs, bathrooms, everything.
Wow.
It was absolutely beautiful.
Wow. All that in a 6-seater.
Well, it was actually an 8-seater, but I took 2 seats out.
Okay.
To
Wow.
make it more comfortable for them to go back and forth to the bathroom and to get
A
wheelchairs.
bathroom.
Yeah.
Amazing.
A little bathroom in it, too. That plane went on to save so many lives that I can't even explain. I owned it from about 2001 till the market had crashed in 08,
Mm-hmm.
which I owned a company called EQ Financial, and that had happened.
Mm-hmm.
And when the market had crashed, it was time for me to step back a little bit.
Sure.
And just as easy as I found, well, it wasn't easy to find, but I said the same prayer: God, if you want me to keep this plane, let me know.
Right.
Phone rang 10 minutes later. It was a guy down from the fly-in down in Ormond,
Mm-hmm.
where Travolta used to live.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I hear you have a Navajo. I didn't even tell but one person.
Right. Right.
He goes, I'd like to buy it. He goes, can
Wow.
you fly it down here? Sure. And he gave me exactly what I paid for the plane.
Wow. Amazing. So you got exactly what you paid for it. You got to help a lot of people and enjoy it for
Right.
quite a few years. That's
Absolutely.
awesome. It's amazing how God talks to us because so many people think that when God talks to us, it's going to be the thunder or that it has to be a burning bush like Moses experienced.
Right.
But many times it's just a small, still voice of our desire to help somebody.
And,
And then, so God really put that in your heart that you should be looking for a plane like this. And then not only that, he stored it up and held it for a whole year.
Yeah,
So
but-
you went and found it. So that's how God works. I mean, God does amazing things like this for everybody. But if you're not listening or in tune with it, you don't recognize it and see it. But it's beautiful.
You have to walk through the door and see
Yes.
what's on the other side. You may turn back around and walk back out.
You might run.
Or you need to go look and
Yes.
see what's there. And that was the case in this aircraft. I said, I have to go look because it keeps pulling me towards it. That plane went on to fly hundreds of missions and a
Wow.
lot of babies, a lot of getting to the story with this gentleman, Jeb,
Mm-hmm.
about this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that I pulled him in this week from Portland is because of his story. I let him stay with me for 2 days so I could learn more about him,
Mm-hmm.
even though I flew him all those times. I was talking to air traffic control.
Right. Right.
So I didn't get to know him super well.
Sure.
And during the times that I was flying him, he had a trach, so it was difficult to understand him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I learned so much this weekend about life by meeting with this guy. It was unbelievable because you can't get him down. This man was rejected at birth, born with a birth defect, went through 400 operations.
Not just any birth defect. I mean, it was all on his face. Like
Right.
it was one of the most challenging things I think someone would ever have to go through.
And a mother that looked at the baby and rejected him.
How painful is that?
Oh my God, it broke my heart when he was telling me the story. And not only that baby, there was another baby that was born that the mother rejected, and there was a couple that came in and adopted them both.
Wow. Wow. What a blessing for that couple.
Man, and I'll tell you, they actually raised them both together, and they've seen him through all of his operations. And right now, he's dedicated his life after all of those operations to feeding the poor and helping the disabled.
Wow. Well, that's one of the things. Okay, so I'm glad that you brought that up because I just had I was just in an interview at the radio station with Pastor Jay this morning, and one of the questions that she asked me is, how is it that you've been through so many things, yet you're so happy? And this is a question for us to ponder. How do you hold on to happiness or joy with the trials and tribulations? And we use the biblical terms, but with all the crap that happens in the world, well, there's a couple different ways to do it. But one of the things that I like to share with people is, if you look outward, like if I don't have the energy to smile, okay,
Right.
but if I can do something good for another person, they're going to smile and give that smile back to me. So now I have a smile because I'm going to smile back at them. So if you don't have the energy, or if life is getting you down, just look at what you can do for somebody else to bring some joy to them, and that joy is going to come back to you. Sometimes it comes back tenfold, sometimes it comes back 100-fold,
Right.
but it's beautiful when it comes back. So that sounds exactly like what this gentleman is doing by reaching out and seeing, who can I help? Who's out there that I can help? That's amazing. This guy, so I met him, and it's a little challenging to talk to him. He's got a trach, and he's you can see where the scars are because he had a big goiter on the side of his head. And this is the gentleman that Angel Flight has flown, and Keith himself has flown him how many times?
Well, 146 missions.
146 missions were done in his honor.
Whether it be a checkup or an operation. I took him for his first, where he was analyzed to see if they could make it better. because
Okay.
His mouth was sideways.
Oh,
At one time, his mouth
it's
was
not sideways anymore.
Now it's straight.
Wow, that's
Right.
amazing.
Yeah, we almost had him off the trach, but the tube where you swallow is so tiny, he couldn't. They had to puree the food to try to make it work. So he is fed through his stomach.
Wow.
He has a little tube that he takes and feeds himself. But the most amazing part is his spirit.
It's unbreakable,
I've never seen anything like it. I mean,
unshakable.
every time I talk to him, Jeb, how you doing? I'm doing great. I can understand him because I've been talking to him for so long.
Sure.
And all he wants to do is help other people.
It's amazing. And that's a beautiful spirit right there. That's amazing.
Right. I'm sorry. But anyway, when we first started the Angel Flight project here with the poker run, actually, what we did was I showed a picture of Jeb.
Yes. Yeah.
Soon as Kevin Rosa from the White Eagle, and he owned aircraft salvaging company, as soon as he looked at the picture, he was all in.
He was all in.
Yeah, next thing I know, he had an old airplane. He cut the wings off the plane. He bought a boat trailer, put the plane on a boat trailer, painted it, and started the first poker run.
Oh, wow.
It was down at the White Eagle. Then
Wow.
he passed away 3 years later, and then Heather Rout actually picked up the torch and ran with it at that particular point. So 12 years have been down at Dirty Harry's, and the other 3 years prior to that was started with the White Eagle.
Where it was. Oh, so it's been at Dirty Harry's ever since the final landing spot.
Right, exactly.
After the, so what do you call the final spot on a poker run? Is
The
it
final spot.
the final spot? Okay. So it's where the food is.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, there were so many people there, and I really appreciate the invitation to come
Right.
down. And it was just an amazing sight to see all the people there that were supporting Keith's mission and what he's doing. So you've been doing this for how long now?
Since 1993.
Oh wow, you're not old enough to be doing something that long.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I used to work for Eastern Airlines. That tells you.
Oh wow, oh wow. Who?
Yeah, it was really an airline.
So we need to talk about. No, you were telling us about the Twins local. We never got to finish that, so I'd love to
Now,
hear about the Twins.
The twins. Once I took them, I gave them. We used to have a little teddy bears that we would hand out.
Like Tag Ventures is doing now,
Yeah.
real estate.
Yeah, we would give them a little teddy bear with aviation glasses and aviation.
Oh, how cute!
So when they got out of the plane, I handed that to them, and I knew they were both going to go through that heart surgery. And after they hugged me and said goodbye, I couldn't fly. I had to sit in FBO, it's called, for about 2 hours to calm down, because the last thing you want to do is get in an airplane upset.
Emotional, right?
Yeah, but they touched my heart. They really did. But where the story even gets better, 6 months later, I'm sitting at my chair at EQ Financial,
Yes.
and they came walking in to hug me.
Oh, how awesome is that?
Yeah. So the cool part about what we do is I get to
That's
become
amazing.
friends with these people.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lady named Mary Alice that lived in Daytona that had jaw cancer. They told her she was going to pass away 12 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Well, she didn't. and I flew her. I would fly her. We did a lot of television interviews
Yeah.
together. We did a lot of things together. And the sad part about it is she had family, you know, that could help her. But when she had a heart problem, she called her pilot to take her to the Mayo Clinic because her family wouldn't.
Oh, wow.
So we run into a lot of sad stories like that, and they become our friends. We also started what's called Earth Angels.
Earth Angels. Okay.
Earth Angels, you can sign up on angelflightsc.org.
Angelflightsc.org if you would like to get involved or find out more about this charity.
Right. So Brendan Bivens, actually, who we tagged on this particular video, he's an Earth Angel. And what they do
Okay.
is they meet us at the airplane, and they take him to the doctor.
Oh, so they get it from the ground. So they're the
Correct.
angels on the ground.
Right. And
Wow,
they
you guys
pay
are
for their
amazing.
fuel, their time. They take care of all that. He actually drove Jeb back home to Leesburg because since he was here, and that was where he was from originally, I flew him from Portland for the event, and then the Earth Angel took him back to Leesburg to spend time with his family. So we started that part, and it was because when you drop them off, and you're turning around and having to come back for work, sometimes it didn't make sense for us to
Right.
turn around.
Right.
So we would get a car. By the way, most airports gave us a free car
Oh, wow. Wow.
to use, and we would take them to the doctor's appointment and sit with them and be a support system for them, and then fly home later on in the day. So it was a day's mission for me. I never would just leave them, So the Earth Angels happens, and now you get to fly. Like if I fly from here to Miami to drop somebody off, the Earth Angel will take them from there.
That's beautiful.
Take them to the hospital, sit with them, go through their appointment, whether they have to stay at the Ronald McDonald House and be there for 2
I'm
days.
gonna start crying here because it's amazing what you guys are doing. Absolutely amazing.
The Earth Angel will be with them the whole time, because a lot of times, like we fly somebody to Moffitt Cancer Center, and they're going to be at the Ronald McDonald House for a week. That Earth Angel will be there for them if they need
They're
anything
scared.
to get around or anything like that.
That's
So
beautiful.
we started that portion of it. Now that hasn't taken off the way we would like.
Because
just
it's
yet.
not an airplane.
That's correct. That is correct. The airplane part is we're getting a lot of phone calls from pilots looking for missions.
That's beautiful.
Medical care has become better,
Yes.
so we have actually expanded out into remote areas that really need our help, like Puerto Rico. We just opened up Puerto Rico. Now, if anybody needs help there, because you're in an area of Puerto Rico where you can't get to medical care, it's very difficult.
We need the volume up on both of us. Okay. You gotta
Okay,
get closer.
just
to
get
the-
closer. I'm sorry.
Jess.
So-
We're doing some technical things here. Apparently the volume was down a little low. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this and we're going to start another live here in just a minute, because if the volume's down and then we turn it up, it's going to blast everyone out. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this live and we're going to come back with number 2.